certainly missing it. But I too couldn't resist the call from Sean to come here and talk about this issue, because it's something that way back in 1994, when Steve Wynn was here with this proposal for a waterfront casino that would finance a convention center, I spoke out against it then when I was nowhere near politics. And the same feelings arise now as I look at this project, and the same concerns arise, and the same feeling that this isn't the kind of Vancouver that I want also arises. I want to ask you to just imagine a casino in a high school. Pretty ridiculous idea, right? I mean, the kids could come at lunch and play the slot machines, and then they could go and have a little fun after school. Most of us would say, yeah, really, no, not a high school. And then I want to suggest to you that in your mind, there must be, as there is in my mind, some point where you say, there are certain places we don't want to go with gambling. High schools is an extreme and obvious example. But what are some of the other ones? And what would it take for us to actually figure out where it was we didn't want gambling and draw the line and say, okay, we're good up to this point, but after that, we're into a territory we don't want to go into. We've never had that discussion in BC. We've never had that discussion in Vancouver. I want to elaborate a little bit on what Bing said. 2002, let's go back before that. Before that, there weren't even, after the raids in Chinatown, there weren't even casinos in the city. And then we got a couple of little casinos and some hotel basements. Actually, there were casinos and church basements. There were the raffles and the bingos. And they're still around, the 50-50s and so on. But we had the ones in the hotel basements. And then we got the lotto tickets. And then we got a whole lot of lotto tickets. And we got lotto tickets and gambling in every corner store. And then we got bigger casinos attached to convention centers in Langley and Burnaby and different places. And then both provincial parties in Victoria changed their tune on expanded gambling and said, we're no longer opposed to it. In fact, let's have more of it. And then the municipalities stopped a traditional practice that was in place when I first got into politics, which was that when you got gambling revenue, that gambling revenue went into a special fund that was not part of your operating fund because you did not want to become dependent on that. So it would be somewhere where it would be a one-off spending project. We stopped that. Now we mainline the gambling revenue right into our operating veins, and it's all part of the lifeblood of the cities. And then we asked for the Edgewater Casino was down there, and they said, well, you know, we're struggling. We really got to throw some liquor into the mix. So we gave them the liquor license. And then the province said, you know, people are just going online and gambling anyway, and we got to get the revenues up. So let's start doing it online, but we'll cap it at $100. And then they said, no, let's just go for it. Let's cap it at $10,000. And then they said, let's start poker online. And now we've got $2.5 billion in revenue coming in from gambling, of which $1 billion plus sticks to the public sector. And we're going for more. And my question is, where does it stop? Where are we going with this? We don't have a plan. We don't have a limit. We don't have a policy. And it is all driven by the industry, which does have a plan. Bigger, more. And my question would be, and my challenge would be, how do we stop the expansion and thoughtfully look at what we are getting now from the gambling that's among us? So I just want to say that these decisions are not easy. And I recognize that some people want to gamble, and I'm not here to deny them that opportunity. I get the argument that if some city is going to profit from gambling, why don't we get it? Because if we don't get it, they'll go to Richmond, and look at all the money Richmond got, look at all the money Burnaby's going to get. Mayor Corrigan used to laugh at us when we didn't have slot machines. We'll take your money. I'm sympathetic to my friend David Podmore's desire to put some kind of a deal together so we can get a roof on that stadium. We don't have to build a new stadium. And I realize some people say the horse is out the door, like it's done. Why are we fretting about something? It's already a part of our community, so let's not worry about it. But Just because one horse is out the door doesn't mean we have to let 3 more out. This is not, my concerns are not about the new route for the rezoning or keeping gambling dollars in Vancouver. And you should understand that if you haven't read the 55-page report that council is deliberating to determine this, there are 3 decisions that they have to make. One is permission to move the Edgewater Casino to BC Place Stadium. Another one is to rezone the whole neighborhood and stop up streets and change this and move that in, environmental runoff, all kinds of right-of-ways, densities, hotel permissions, heights. There's all of that. And then the other decision, the third decision, is to allow the expansion of the casino. And that's something that requires the municipality to consult with the citizens on. And I don't know about you, but I keep a pretty close eye on what's going on in the city. I am not aware of any real consultation on this. There have been a couple of open houses, I understand, in June. I didn't get to them. There was something happened last night. I've been watching closely. I didn't hear anything about, didn't get any invitation last night. I don't know if any of you were there. But I don't think there has been anything like adequate consultation on this question by the city. What we have to understand is what this city is getting into when we waltz into the future in the arms of a company from Las Vegas that Sandy will tell you about and make you really wonder, why are we hitching our star to this wagon? So I don't think there should be any expansion approved until we know the answer to one question. Will expanded gambling on this site hurt our community more than it helps us? Now, the assumed answer, if this is approved, is no, that we will benefit from expanded gambling. But so far, we're only measuring by net income. We know all about the dollars, we know all about the jobs, but we actually have no idea of the hidden costs of this gambling. I have a member of my family who got a gambling habit, took all the family's money, not my family, but her family, part of my extended family. Lost it all. The marriage broke up. Debts everywhere. The family was devastated. This was not recorded in the newspapers anywhere. This is not on the public record. These are invisible harms that come from this, but somebody, somewhere, somehow, should be measuring these to see, is this what we want in Vancouver? I remember door knocking when I was campaigning, somewhere on the east side of the city. I knocked on the door, the woman came to the door, she said, I said, introduced myself, running for office, and she said, what do you think about gambling? I said, ooh, gambling, it's not really, I said, well, I'm not generally in favor of it, but sometimes we have to compromise these things. And then she went on, broke into tears and told me about how devastated her family had been. Who would know? Here was just a family, a door, someplace in the city. There aren't people being shot in the streets, but there's a lot of harm being done. I voted against the introduction of slots in Vancouver at the Edgewater Casino because I thought that was a threshold that we didn't have to cross. We've now crossed that threshold. There are 520 slots at Edgewater, and now they want 1,500 at the expanded premise. At the time, I can remember my friends in the arts community coming to the council and begging us to approve this thing. And it's interesting how these things work. There is always a beneficiary, or you might want to call it a hostage. You can free this hostage, vote for this, these hostages go free. They get their money, they can have their arts funded. And they were really torn up because they depended on money from a bingo hall that was supposed to be going into that casino. It's still not there. It's still going to be a promise of the new casino that one day they'll get their bingo hall. Sandy will talk a little more about other betrayals of the arts community. Then came the racetrack. Slots on the racetrack. I looked at that. They said 600 jobs can be saved if we have these slots at the racetrack. With great reluctance, I voted for that one.